All right, welcome to your final review session, everybody. Look, if you've been stressing out about tomorrow's test, I want you to just take a deep breath. Seriously, relax. Because in the next 10 minutes, we're going to completely master the advertising and digital environment unit so you can walk into that room tomorrow with absolute confidence and just crush this exam. We're going to distill an entire semester's worth of e-commerce concepts into a really clear, straightforward explainer today. So grab your notes and let's dive right in.
You'll definitely want to write this down because this agenda is quite literally your roadmap to an A. We're covering 1. E-commerce foundations and models. 2. Benefits, objectives, and limitations. 3. E-commerce marketing strategies. 4. Security threats and legal rules. And finally, number 5, earning through content creation.
All right, starting things off with Module 1, E-commerce foundations and models.
Now, before we can even talk about marketing or securing a digital business, we got to set the baseline, right? We need to define exactly what we're dealing with. And what's really fascinating about e-commerce is that it isn't just throwing up a basic website and hoping for the best. It's defined by some very specific, unique features. If you're asked to define e-commerce on the test, you absolutely want to mention its ubiquity, meaning the fact that it's available 24/7 from literally anywhere on Earth. You also want to talk about its global reach, the rich multimedia content like text, audio, and video, and of course that intense personalization that gives customers those hyper-customized recommendations. It's this massive, interactive, super data-dense ecosystem.
Okay, I want you to memorize these models like they're a cheat sheet. Professors absolutely love to ask you to map these transaction models to real-world platforms. So you've got your standard business-to-consumer, or B2C. Think Amazon or Myntra. Then there's business-to-business, B2B, which is your IndiaMart or Alibaba. But hey, don't forget the curveballs. You've got consumer-to-business, C2C, like freelancers selling their services back to big companies. And this is crucial for modern digital infrastructure. B2G, business-to-government, used for e-tendering, and G2C, government-to-consumer, which covers platforms like DigiLocker or IRCTC. If you can tie the acronym directly to the real-world example, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself full marks on that question.
Now let's look at how this builds into a very likely essay question, the Indian e-commerce scenario. Listen, if you get this question, please don't just talk about the mega cities. The absolute real story here is that massive market growth is rapidly expanding in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. This explosion is mostly driven by deep smartphone penetration, incredibly cheap internet from providers like Jio, and the crazy seamless adoption of digital payments through UPI. Oh, and definitely throw in mentions of government initiatives like Digital India and Make in India to really round out your answer and impress your grader.
Moving right along to Module 2, Benefits, Objectives, and Limitations. So now that we know what e-commerce is and how it's built, let's look at the arguments for and against it. This is your classic compare and contrast essay prep right here. On the exam, you've got to be able to contrast the incredible benefits against some very real, concrete limitations. On the pro side, you have massive perks, the sheer convenience of 24/7 shopping, huge cost savings since there's zero physical rent, and the way it supports SMEs, small and medium enterprises, letting them actually compete with giant brands on a national level. But you have to acknowledge the flip side. E-commerce obviously suffers from a lack of physical touch, right? You can't actually hold the product before buying. Plus, there are logistical nightmares and delivery delays. But the single most important term to remember for this section is the digital divide. You need to mention this. It's the harsh reality that rural areas without reliable internet access are just completely excluded from this entire economy.
All right, Module 3, E-commerce marketing strategies.
So we've built the digital store. We know the pros and cons. Now let's look under the hood at the engine that actually drives traffic to these storefronts. When you're asked to list marketing components, don't just dump a random list on the page. Group them strategically in your mind to show you really understand the mechanics at play. First, you've got your organic drivers like SEO, search engine optimization, helping you rank higher naturally. Second, you have your paid tactics like PPC, pay-per-click ads, think Google Shopping. Third, you've got retention and conversion strategies. A perfect example here is email marketing, specifically used for cart abandonment, nudging a customer that they left something behind. And finally, you have relationship builders, social media marketing on Instagram, content marketing through blogs, and loyalty programs that reward repeat buyers. If you structure your answer exactly like that, it shows a really deep understanding.
Next up, Module 4, Security Threats and Legal Rules.
As you guys know, where there's money, there's risk. Always. This section covers the dark side of digital business, the actual threats, and the legal guardrails that are put in place to protect the whole ecosystem. Be ready to list the specific dangers lurking in a transaction. Don't just say hackers. You want to use the proper terminology here. We're talking about phishing attacks, where fake emails are perfectly designed to steal your login credentials. We're talking about massive data breaches where entire customer databases get hacked, which leads straight into identity theft and payment fraud. And hey, if you really want to show off to your professor, mention man-in-the-middle attacks. This is where cybercriminals literally intercept and alter data in secret while it's mid-transmission between the buyer and the store. It's wild stuff. So, if that's the terrifying threat landscape we're dealing with, the absolutely crucial question becomes, what concrete solutions are businesses legally and ethically required to actually implement? Please write these exact acronyms down for your test. To secure data transmission, businesses use SSL or TLS encryption. That is exactly what gives websites that secure HTTPS designation up in your browser bar. You also have to mention two-factor authentication, or 2FA, for login security. But listen to me. The golden acronym here is PCI DSS compliance. Write that down. That is the mandatory global standard for payment security. Pair that with secure payment gateways like Razorpay, PayU, or Stripe, and you've perfectly answered how a business locks down its checkout process. Now, looking at this from an Indian legal framework perspective, this specific list of acts is basically your holy grail. If an exam question asks about the legal environment, you must underline the Information Technology Act of 2000. That is the foundational law governing digital transactions in the country. Then you want to add the Consumer Protection e-commerce rules of 2020, which were created specifically to protect online buyers from unfair trade practices. And to really round out your answer, mention the necessity of GST compliance for taxing online sales, and FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act, which instantly applies the second an e-commerce transaction crosses international borders.
All right, bringing it home with Module 5, Earning Through Content Creation. For this final module, we're going to pivot just a little bit to look at the modern digital landscape. Let's demystify the creator economy and figure out how blogs, vlogs, and influencers actually make real money in this space. Affiliate marketing is the absolute backbone of this entire landscape. Why? Because it's completely performance-based. It lets influencers and bloggers act as these powerful brand ambassadors, driving highly targeted, niche traffic without the brand having to spend a single dime upfront on advertising. The company literally only pays when a sale actually happens. It's a win-win. Now, this affiliate process follows a really brilliant, straightforward, linear mechanic. I want you to memorize this exact 4-step sequence so you can explain exactly how the money flows on your exam. Step 1, the merchant creates the program. Step 2, the affiliate joins and gets a unique tracking link, which they toss into their YouTube description or blog post. Step 3, the customer clicks that specific link and buys the product. And Step 4, the system tracks that link and the affiliate earns their commission. It's elegant, it's trackable, and it is incredibly effective.
Here's a great specific detail to drop into your exam to show you really know your stuff. Commission rates. Major, real-world programs out there, like Amazon Associates, offer up to a 10% commission on certain product categories. Throwing that number in there makes the theory tangible for the person grading your paper.
Finally, let's synthesize the 3 distinct revenue models creators are using today. First, you have Google AdSense, letting website owners earn money just by displaying Google Ads. Just make sure you know that AdSense pays publishers via CPC, cost per click, and CPM, which is cost per mil or cost per 1,000 impressions. Then you have blogging on platforms like WordPress, which relies super heavily on those affiliate links we just talked about, plus direct sponsorships. And lastly, vlogging, video blogging, on platforms like YouTube, where creators essentially stack AdSense revenue on top of highly lucrative direct brand deals and merch sales.
And there you have it. You now have the complete blueprint to absolutely ace this test. We've covered the models, the marketing, the security, and the creator economy. But before you close your books and finally get some sleep, I want you to do something for me. Just look at your phone. Based on everything we literally just covered in this explainer, the SEO, the tracking links, the personalization algorithms, how is your own personal data being targeted by e-commerce marketers right at this very moment? Really think about it. All right, get some rest. Good luck on your exam tomorrow. You're going to do great.